You know, when I played for the Sparks, we had a manager that would wash our clothes and trainers that would bring us ice and whatever you needed. And I always told them, no, thank you. Don't bring me ice. Until, if I'm injured, knock on wood, and I can't get up, then you come help me. But until then, I want to let me get my own things. And maybe it's because I'm not used to, I'm a giver and I'm not a taker. So that may be a part of my own personality. And not that I don't deserve to be served, but I don't want people to serve me when I can serve myself or when I can help someone else. And so sometimes we let positions, right? People have titles get in the way. Everybody got an amen on that one, right? Okay, so my point on this one is in your purpose of being who you are and treating people the way they deserve to be treated, even though now that I'm a co-owner, I still treated the manager and the janitor and the president and the owner the exact same way. Because at the end of the day, if there was some sort of natural disaster, are you going to be like, oh no, that's the janitor. Hey, if the janitor can help you out, he will pull you out, he'll pick you up, he'll give you mount them out. You don't know. So you have to treat people, I just think it's just a certain unwritten rule that it's important for us to treat everybody, with respect. If people are not being respectful to you, find a way to solve the problems. But I find that sometimes we let titles define who we are. And for me, being a professional basketball player or a celebrity in some people's eyes, at the end of the day, we're all God's children. And so for me, I don't know, just through moving through the room, I'm funny. I like to laugh. I love a good laugh. I thought, I love the personalities of the people here because you guys don't take yourself too serious. Sometimes you find some people just take themselves way too serious. I'm just like, dude, get over it. Like you're an actor. You act in movies, right? It's a job. Don't take yourself so serious. It's not that big deal. Well, coming from LA, obviously we interact with a lot of celebrities, so sometimes you meet people and it's just like, oh, I really loved your movie, but you are such a jerk. Because at the end of the day, it's like treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't look past me because I'm not, a celebrity the way that you are, that you want me to be. You treat people just like you would treat a cousin or a friend or a relative or a stranger, So I just threw that in because I think sometimes people get caught up in their titles. And then I want to move to, I know I'm all over the place, but I have to make sure I hit certain points and things that is very important to me in my heart. But I always pray before I speak for God to give me the wisdom of what it is that He wants communicated. So I'm not a minister, so to speak, but I let Him use me. But anyway, so as I move on from setting your goals, it's important then to be disciplined, right? So I have an academy at home. I talk to age 7 and 17-year-olds where I teach them basketball and I also teach leadership skills. So I always ask them about discipline. What do you think about when you hear discipline? And the majority of people always talk about discipline as something negative, right? You have to be disciplined. Oh man, to be disciplined or is to be in trouble. But to be disciplined is really a great benefit. And I found that I'm a very disciplined person. I think it's important to use discipline to your advantage. Whether you're in your sport, be disciplined in practice or as a teammate. One of the things I always talk about as a teammate, the way you prepare as a teammate, it will apply later in the working world. So let me first address the teams. For those of you who play sports and that are in teams, think about this. People would always say, listen, you're the captain of Team USA. You've been a captain for 4 different teams. How have you been so successful? I said, well, it doesn't matter what team I'm on. I always do the exact same things with my teammates. Number one is I want to have an interpersonal relationship with one of my teammates. I'm going to go around and at some point I'm going to say, hey, what time do you like to shoot? I'm going to go meet you and I'm going to make sure that we shoot. Let's shoot together. Let me rebound for you. I'm going to come early. If you want to work on some ball handling, I'll guard you so that I can block your shot. I would meet my teammates, each one of them, because it's important as the captain for me to make sure that you're at your best, right? So I'm going to try to bring out the best in you, but that takes discipline. To also be a great leader is to be a great follower and to be a great listener. right? So as a teammate, I would listen to what my teammates were complaining about, see what I could do to kind of massage that and fix that, whether it was tell the coach something that, hey, I just think you should know, some of the players are feeling like this, to try to be that gap between those players. But I would also do this, be accountable. Every day in practice. It's hard when you're a leader. It's hard when you want to be the best because you got to show up every day. Every day. And for those champions in this room, you understand. Every day. Whether we're practicing, I'm trying to be the first one to touch the lines. Every day. I don't care how fast the guards are, I'm running with the guards. We're doing post moves, I'm going to do exactly what needs to be done every day. We're playing defense, I'm playing hard, I'm blocking a shot like you're not on my team. Because if I don't play against you like another teammate would, or another team would, I'm not making you any better, right? So in sports, you find as a teammate, it's so important to give your best. But as a leader, you have to lead every day. Every day in practice, every day in the game. But what happens is then when you get into that moment, when, if you're on a team sport, when you're down, right? You're down by 20 or down by 15, like the Lakers. You then need someone to step in and be accountable. Sometimes you have to get in a few teammates' face and say, hey, look, right now, let's get it. 3 minutes, for 3 minutes, let's play the best defense we can. Let's everybody box out. But my teammates respond to that because in those moments, they've seen me every day practicing. I met them early, right? Put up some extra shots. I invested time in them. And so right now in this moment, when I'm looking each one of them in the eye, they believe in me and I believe in them, right? So the same thing applies from a sport, whether you're an individual sport, team sport, be accountable as a teammate. Because I believe the real purpose of playing sports is to prepare you for life. Now let's talk about life, right? Because as life, let's go with the working life first. Whether you're working mom, working dad, husband, working. When you're working with a group of people, we all have projects and things that we need to get done, right? We're on the time. Everybody's on the time clock trying to make money, meet a deadline, get a meeting done. We all do these things, right? So here you are, it's the same exact thing. You have your team, you're there. Are you being accountable? Don't raise your hands if you're not. But think about this. In business, it's important to be accountable. It's important to do your part, right? Because I've had teammates who don't do their part, and you're just like, look, I can't carry me and you every day. You gotta be accountable. So you wanna be accountable also in business. The other thing that I do with my group is do goals. Let's sit down and talk for a second. What is your goal? What do we want to do for this particular project, or this week, or this month, or this year? What are our goals? What are our short-term goals? Then let's check back in with each other and figure out, did we meet those benchmarks, right? So the same thing in sports applies to business and applies to life. You have to figure out where is it that you're going. They have that saying that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? Exactly. So you have to have your goals and your purpose aligned, whether we're talking about in sports or in life. To me, those two were one and the same. Even though my goals were written different, obviously what I wanted to do on the court, but what I wanted to do in life was different. So people ask me all the time, so Lisa, how did you transition? How did you do it? How did you go from playing basketball all these years and now you're a co-owner, you work for 4 or 5 different companies, you're a sportscaster? It's called balance. It's balance. I'm very disciplined. Just as much as I hustled after every ball on the court, I hustled in life. Don't get it mixed up. Hustling is very important. You have to hustle. I mean, you don't settle. If you're not writing the checks, or if you don't live on the house that's on any of these beautiful homes that's sitting out on the beachfront, then you should be in hustle mode, right? And if you're in sports, then you hustle after your sports. If you're in college, you pursue your college and get your degree because the sport does not define you. Your education is what's going to help you for a life after sports. So for me, even when I was playing basketball, when I was in the WNBA, I was studying getting my master's. Okay, I had practice in the morning. I would go to school on Mondays. I would do all my work, type up my papers, take a nap, get back up, finish my paper, turn it in, go to bed, go to practice, go to my game, type a paper while we were traveling, And people are like, you are crazy. I'm like, no. This is just a moment where we are, but I have to use basketball to get me to the next phase. So for those women who are in sports, you already know, and men, we are so happy you're here first. Let me just say that. My husband is, he's so upset he didn't make it because he's working. He's got to work too. But I'll say, for women, we have it doubly tough. I mean, it is what it is. You burst the men, they get the jobs. They're in charge. And then you have the women, and we're always fighting. And I don't know if it's the same way in Bermuda as it is in the States, but we're always fighting to get our position, to be on the council or to be in every part of the aspect of business. We're fighting to get there. There's always fewer numbers. With 18% in IT, there's just fewer numbers of women in general. So when you get there, you have to perform. You have to perform well. It's the same thing in sports. The WNBA, we've been around 16 years now. And we're constantly fighting for our space and our place and our, coverage and more coverage and our newspaper coverage and our local. We're always fighting. And they're like, Lisa, are you an activist? And I'm like, yes, I'm an activist for women because we have to constantly fight this good fight to get our space and our place. But with that, women, you have to be ready. You have to be sharp. That's why in business, you have to be just as sharp as you was in your sport. Start to think about those things now. For those of you who are still playing, set yourself up now for what is it that you want to do later. Making the relationship. Let's go into networking. Networking is huge, am I right? Sponsors, people that are here, networking is key. And a lot of times when you're a player, you don't recognize that. You just sit there and you're like, hi. Somebody come up to you, hi, you don't want to take a picture? I take a picture with everybody. I say hi to everybody. You want to exchange cards? Let's exchange cards. Send you an email, tell you thank you. I was doing that as a player, and people were like, why are you doing all that? I said, you just never know what happens. The people from ESPN called me up, one of my first jobs. It's the people from TNT called me up. And only because I sent an email saying thank you, it was a pleasure meeting you, it was nice to have sat with you. I don't know, just, hey, I have your email, and it's important. Then what do I do now? I call those same sponsors and say, hey, I have my academy, these kids, we're scholarshiping kids in who can't afford to come. What do? Send checks for these kids to come. So the importance of networking, again, we're talking about our purpose here. And our purpose is bigger than what our sport is. So know, when you're playing any sport that you're in, see the big picture. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with, women in sports, is our appearance. Now, the important thing to understand is called branding. This word is sort of a new word, but it's been around forever. But because we have social media now, right? And I don't know how much you guys use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, right? Everybody is familiar with all those things? Okay. Because I know some of the, let's say, more mature adults may not use that, but for you younger adults, it's huge because it's about branding yourself. Now that you have access to the world, you have a platform, and even if your access is to just everyone here in Bermuda, just imagine if you could get 50,000 followers, you have an opportunity to share stories, to write books, to write columns, to put out things that are educational for children. If you sell jewelry, you have an opportunity to get that out there. There's a lot of ways to brand yourself. But what happens with young women and men in social media is that they put out a lot of things that they feel won't follow them, right? We get a lot of negative tweets and people saying, oh my God, I can't believe she wore her hair like that. All kinds of things. But those things follow you. And if a person's going to hire you and they're going to look into you as a person, they're going to be able to look back and see the things that you've said and what kind of character and person you are. So don't let social media make you think that everything is private, because it's not. It's not private. And the reason why I say this is because our appearance, not just on the outside, which is a whole other subject, but on the outside, it's important to take care of our brand. I would always say, I play basketball, and the only two things I have control of is what I look like before I start the game, and then what I look like when I come out of the locker room.